Hello and welcome to the F1 show with me, Hugh Hatrick, and a very special guest tonight, all the way from South Africa. It is Levi. How are you doing?
I'm absolutely fantastic, Hugh. Thanks for having me on again. Post 2025 championship, which was an interesting one, and I'm just glad to be talking about F1 again.
Yes.
So let's get stuck in.
Exactly, on what is the biggest season of the year. 24 races. We've had 3 of them. Of course, we're not going to have 2 in April because Bahrain and Qatar have been dropped due to all the issues going on in the Middle East. But I still think, you know what, it's been a cracker of a start to the year. I mean, it's been very divisive, without a doubt. Some people hate it. I think the F1 community is really in two bits as to do they like the engines, do they not like the engines. We've had all sorts of controversy with Behrman's crash on Sunday as well. It's the FIA obviously is going to try and work on that and see what can happen. But overall, are you quite excited about the championship so far? Do you think it's better than last year?
Well, last year was quite exciting. You can't complain about a 3-way title championship. I do like a shake-up in the regulations. The cars look spectacular. I think this year's cars look really good. I won't complain about that. They're smaller, they're more nimble. It seems like they're more alive, which is amazing. But the engine situation, it's a love-hate relationship. I'm happy that Ferrari are doing better, but it seems like they don't have the best engine anyway. So, I think there's a lot of things to unpack here to kind of understand as well with the situation that's going on. Because I don't think they'll be terrible if there's a few changes can be made, but I still think right now it's not ideal. It's too energy starved that people call it. That's the term, energy starved.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, you kind of felt if they had the same engines as last year, but the new package, it would have been so much better because the engines had really developed a lot and actually were quite good and very efficient. I'm not sure does Formula One need kind of battery powered, tech to such a degree. I suppose it depends what they're trying to follow, what they're trying to get out of it.
Well, to be honest with you, I just don't see the point at the moment because everyone knew this. I remember when we saw articles from Verstappen from over 2 years ago saying, "Oh, we're gonna have to downshift on straights. Oh, we're gonna be running out of power halfway down the straight," and everyone knew this was gonna happen because of just how everything was written and how limited the engine was gonna be providing power. So that was a big red flag already. So what do you expect? To be honest with you, this is what F1 decided to do, but now after Japan, there's been talks already that they're going to be trying to think about maybe changing how much electricity or electric power you could use at its highest capacity. So you could still maybe use they use kilowatts. So apparently they want to decrease the maximum power, but then keep the recharge power at 350. So you're always recharging more than you're using. That could work. They could just increase the engine power completely, but then they'll upset some of the manufacturers that signed up for a 50-50 split. So I just think they should really do what's best for the sport. I know they'll upset some manufacturers, but at least having a 60-40 split would make the engines just the overall package a little bit less problematic because you won't have as many accidents you won't have. I'm hoping not to see any more accidents, but we saw Colapinto and Behrman, which was ridiculous, to be honest. Come on, 50, 55 kilometers an hour difference going to Spoon. That's not something that should happen.
No. I think that's the big difference, isn't it? Because it's all about where they deploy their battery, and if you get it, if you're on 2 different strategies and 2 different battles, you can find yourself in that situation that Behrman found himself in with a huge incoming speed, wasn't it? It was quite an accident. Thankfully, he was okay. It's you kind of feel you want to hear the cars rev. What I don't like is you'll hear them on the straight, and all of a sudden the revs go down. It goes, and you think, you want them to be going flat out, but obviously it's doing the recharge, which is.
And they're hiding it as well, and F1 are hiding it as well, which is kind of also suspect. Come on, guys, you this is what happens, right? You knew this was going to happen. I think the biggest shock I remember watching practice. I think it was practice 2 because practice 1. Everyone was all over the show. Everyone was still kind of figuring it out because it was the first time around Australia, these new cars. People were doing all weird things. And then practice 2 came around, and I just started seeing everyone just doing that D-rating, or they call it what is it, clipping, clipping at the end of the back straight towards the fast turn 9 and 10. And I was like, what is this? This is that corner used to be kind of just a downshift and then like fling into the corner of the old cars, and now you kind of just it's just a little Sunday drive through there. It's
isn't it?
not
It's a
great.
kind of it's a because normally the aero was something when it all kind of worked like last year when it was powerful and the cars were kind of really efficient with it, haven't they? And they could really go flat out into these corners and make it something quite spectacular. I mean, there was Verstappen who won, from pole position because he was able to keep everyone behind him. I mean, that was a cracker of a race, and we thought maybe we'll get a bit of that this time, but in the end, the Mercedes kind of got away, and that was it. It's an interesting one. Now, I believe we've got NatCap watching as well, and if you're watching, let us know who you are and where you're watching from. Now, I think, am I right in saying that NatCap has just won quite a big championship? Would you like to?
He did indeed.
He did indeed. It's well done because he's one of the youngest drivers out there. So many congratulations. It was SMA season 3.
No, season 1 of 2026. Yeah.
Season 1 of 2026, but the third one is done. Yes. So many congratulations. In fact, he has because you have won rounds 1 and 2. I think haven't you? Have you got? Yeah. So you're the current champion there. But no, it's great to have you in NatCap as well. Now going back to Formula 1, I know that you have got many of the stats there, Levi, in terms of qualifying. You can share the page if you like. I'll put it on.
One of my lights just went off. Apologies, but I think we're still fine. I'm actually been. I don't know what happened there. I think we've got something wrong with the electricity here, but we're gonna go forward. Luckily, I've got backup power. So the qualifying head-to-head right now, the ones that are like kind of interesting to me that I've got off the top of my head. Obviously we've got Hamilton, Leclerc, and Russell and Antonelli are split literally by just over 100th of a second over the last qualifying sessions. That includes the not the super sprint, the sprint qualifying as well. And then the things that are kind of like eye-catching, you got Piastri, Norris close, Bortoleto, Hulkenberg close. The typical ones that are you expect to be close. And you got Verstappen over Hadjar. It's only 1/10 split between them, which is unheard of in modern F1, where usually Verstappen's teammates are minimum 3 to 4 tenths behind, maybe 5 tenths like last year. Then the scary one is actually Gasly over Colopin. So he's 7 tenths ahead of Colopinto after 4 sessions, which it's not good. Like Gasly's a great driver, don't forget that. But 7 tenths is a bit too much. And even maybe Sainz and Albon, because it was really close to them last year. So I don't know. Those are like I think the Red Bull, the Williams, and Alpine are definitely the ones that stand out. The rest you would expect. I think the gaps are quite understandable in my opinion.
But they have come down a bit because I was looking at like the slowest cars, and even now they were about 2.7 seconds off a lap, like Stroll and Alonso in the Aston Martin. So they have brought it in a bit. So I do think that will come in as the year goes on. It's a bit, of course, because they're not allowed testing anymore to kind of help develop the cars in the season. Which is, I know they can bring their major developments, but it would be, I think, especially the fact that we've lost 2 races, I think the teams would probably really quite like if they could test for a week or 2 somewhere to try and kind of get their cars
back in the old days.
Back
in the old days, they used to do that non-stop every weekend. Besides, it was an actual race weekend, they'll be doing that. Even on some race weekends, you would see people doing a test part on the Friday, trying to set it out on the Saturday. That was crazy. But I still think there's going to be a lot that's going to come for Miami. We've got a whole month. That's a lifetime in F1. And then after Miami, you've got another 3 weeks. So there's definitely going to be a lot of development. But the thing is it worth bringing a whole upgrade package to a sprint weekend around a street track? It's really risky. Because you only got one practice to sort that thing out, on top of having the new engines trying to figure out how to drive around that circuit. How are you going to know that the car is actually doing well? Because you're not going to really be able to do everything. So that's also a little curveball. And then the next track straight after that, if I'm not mistaken, is Monaco. If you don't obviously have the other 2. So no, not Monaco. Sorry. It's the Canadian Grand Prix and then Monaco. So there's a lot of tracks here where they aren't really that conventional. So how are you going to know that your car is sorted out before getting maybe back to let's see, Barcelona, which is obviously a great track to test out a car because that's where they used to do a lot of testing. Including this year. So it's kind of a bit of a curveball here. You're gonna just have to hope that your upgrades work and they correlate on track because
Yeah, because
Unless
they're all
you're gonna
quite
be in a
short
bit of
tracks,
big
aren't they?
trouble.
Miami's quite short, lots of corners, not and well, there are some straights, but it's this corner after corner, really, and quite an intense race. Well, Japan had quite long straights, those famous long straights and the 130R and Spoon and all these kind of things. So yeah, it's quite interesting. And Miami, yeah, it could be a funny race. I mean, the McLarens have done very well there the last few years, but you kind of wonder, will Mercedes, because they've never been too far away there, will it kind of catch up a bit or will it be dominant? That's kind of one of those things. And the Ferrari could also, because it's a bit closer here and there, maybe it could put on a kind of high downforce package or something and surprise a few people. What do you think?
Well, at the moment right now, I remember hearing this from F1 TV. The downforce packages are kind of just going to stay the same, unless I think Monaco is like the one exception. One of the engineers mentioned that. I don't know which team they're for, but they said maybe Monaco is like maybe the exception track where they could bring a specific rear wing and maybe front wing where it's got a little bit more extra downforce and a bit more drag, because you're not going to be needing to go as fast in the straights. And I also heard correctly, there's not going to be any straight line modes for Monaco already. I don't know if that's correct, but apparently they're not going to have that. So maybe Monaco, but then the rest of the tracks, from what I heard, they're not going to just like, okay, we got this rear wing for this type of track, this front wing for this type of track. It's not like the old F1, which is kind of a shame, because I remember I really used to enjoy that, but that also maybe saves costs for the F1 teams. So maybe they'll help them develop a bit more, because I think Ferrari of all teams, I think if they just had a slightly better engine, then they actually could be really strong. We saw that in Japan. They were flying in Sector 1. I was getting excited, and then by the end of Sector 2, they have lost like half a second. So
that's it.
Just give them a bit of a better engine upgrade. Apparently, they're going to have an engine upgrade, but I'm not certain. I don't know if that's confirmed yet. I've just seen sources.
Yeah, no, it's one of these things, isn't it? I have to say, from the start of the season, for the first few laps in Melbourne, when they were, the Ferraris got in front and they were really pushing, and I thought, oh, well, this is fantastic, because they did say the Ferraris could have great starts. I remember watching those practice starts, and they were terrific. I mean, the Ferraris really had it there, so they can do it. Just unfortunately, they didn't have the best.
With their little turbos.
Yeah, that's it. They didn't have the best qualifying, weren't it? They were a bit too far away to really get in front. And then, of course, the McLarens were there, and they hadn't been there in the last two races, so it gave them something else to think about. But no, that was the thing. Now, we've got SRC Sideways.
TNR Viv, I think. Yeah, it's TNR Viv.
TNR Viv. It's good to see you. And we've got Parquet, and we've had Nutcap. And I'm sure there are more in the comments there as well watching. It's great to have you along. Let us know your thoughts on the Formula One season and put your questions as well to Levi and myself. Also, we have Levi's YouTube channel in the description there, so please make sure to subscribe to that. And it was a last minute thing. I said, I've forgotten to get the link, so I got your link to make sure you're all covered. But there's certainly a dynamic to Formula One. I mean, 24 races in a season is a vast amount, and it's going to go along right into December again. It feels like you hardly had a break, wasn't it, from the last year? It's literally like 8 weeks,
it was,
and then they're testing again. It's how do you find it? Or I suppose you've been around when it has been a lot busier. We used to finish in the middle of October back in the 90s,
ages ago,
races, wasn't it? How do you find all that? It's like it's constantly news about Formula One.
Well, at the moment, I just feel like we didn't have an off season, because we finished in the first or second week of December, and then
it was quite.
I just remember it was the end of December, and then by New Year's, I remember seeing leaks of some of the cars already testing around Silverstone in the wet. I was like, "This is crazy! This just happened." And then we had the very non-private private test that happened in Catalonia in January, which was kind of also strange, because there were so many people there able to do spy photography. So I just understand. Everyone was like scared, these cars will be super unreliable. Yes, they are unreliable slightly compared to the last engine era. But to be honest, a brand new set of engine regulations and they're this reliable is actually kind of a miracle in itself, compared to the previous era where you had teams just struggling to do a handful of laps a day. So
no, that's it. And they brought spares. They had spare cars just in case, because there were accidents.
A ton of spares.
That was it. But no, it is quite something. At least, and the engines, well, they do sound, I think, still quite reasonable. They have kind of kept that kind of hull.
The engines, they've got rid of some of the things that ruined the engines from the previous generation. But in general, I still think, listen, I know this is a hypothetical. I'm not going to say this right now, because I think for now we're going to be stuck with these engines for a couple of years.
Yeah.
But from what I heard, the murmurs, like F1 are just going to kind of push for these sustainable fuels where they're using this type of grass that converts it into the sustainably sourced fuels.
Yeah,
I think now they'll come with something a little bit more pleasing to the ears, but there's things they can do to the engines that can help us. There's things they can do to make the racing a bit more interesting. I saw Viv's comment right now. The races are horrendous. Like, yes and no. I'm trying to be a bit less biased in a way. I know the qualifying is like kind of just ruined, but when I saw Hamilton and Leclerc battle at parts of the track that I've never seen before, that was a proper scrap. There wasn't just like, he had battery and he didn't have battery. Like he's going through the whole entire sector too, side by side. My heart was racing, and even I thought they were going to crash. And you would never see that in pre-2026 machinery. You would never see that because the dirty air is ridiculous. Yeah. And you just didn't have enough time or space to actually kind of do alternative lines and then get close to the car and then pass them. It was just kind of a procession. It got really bad in 2025. It was already an issue in 2024, but that just naturally happens as the regulation matures. So I think at the moment, some of the flyby passes are kind of just extreme, but there is a bit of nuance to them. I think Australia just pointed out, wow, there's really bad extremes here. But then in China, we started seeing, okay, well, if you play with your battery correctly, it could benefit you later down the line. Yeah, it can become predictable where, you use too much battery on the one straight, then they pass again on the next straight. That's a kind of, it's a bit but then you get some decent side-by-side action, which kind of helps it. It's kind of just like give and take situation right now. I think we just need more time, though. I think we need more time. We've had one or two tracks that are really bad at the energy, and then one track that's really good. The one track that's really good at the energy was China, and now we had a decent side-by-side battling with several different cars. So
yeah, it's interesting. I mean, and that was the funny thing at China, wasn't it? They were Lewis was passing people going through the curves about quite early on in the first sector, and you thought, wow, that's quite a they weren't expecting that to get through. So it's all about if you can get the battery deployment right, and then you got to defend like crazy afterwards, isn't it? Because if the driver behind has kept it a bit longer, then it's going to be exciting. But now Sideways has said a lot more overtakes, but it's not memorable overtakes. Yeah. I mean, I think there is definitely, because they do advertise that fact of how many more overtakes they've had.
It's ridiculous, honestly. It's not. They're trying to go with that. Oh my word! Look how many overtakes we got. They're counting every time someone changes position on the straight. So I think the best way to look at it, I remember seeing someone doing a breakdown of actual overtakes where no one actually got back past and they held the position. It was maybe 20 out of the 145 they did in Australia. And then it was maybe 15 or something for China, but don't quote me on that. Yeah. So, it's not necessarily legitimate overtakes, but when you get moments like the Hamilton and Leclerc, I will always remember that. That's insane. I couldn't believe what happened there. But we've also got a few tracks that I think will lend itself to better, but more natural racing, because Miami, even though it is kind of an okay circuit, it's not. I don't think it's the worst, but it's definitely not the best street circuit we have. It is not bad for battery deployment. There's a lot of hard braking zones, and it will be a bit more opportunity to save battery. It's not on the best situation. Then you got Canada, which I think Canada's gonna be pretty good for the battery situation, and then Monaco. I just think Monaco. Monaco is just kind of a slow circuit, and there's a bit of stop-start nature, so you could save battery there. But then Barcelona will be one of the ones on the worst side of the things because there's not really that many slow corners at Barcelona. Yeah. So you've got a couple of great circuits to see more of the true nature of these cars when they aren't starving of battery energy. But then Barcelona will kind of just show the worst of it. And then you've got a whole run of tracks after that. Barcelona, Austria, or the Red Bull Ring. Then you got the British Grand Prix, Belgium Grand Prix, all just high-speed circuits with long straights and flat-out sections. So we might see a bit of problems there, but that is
power by the end of it. Maybe that's going
that's quite a far way into the season. Then after a supposed changes that are going to be made, so we'll just have to wait and see, because that could change everything if they do a little bit of a change to the way they deploy the energy, and then we're fine. But
Yeah.
Let's find out. Let's see.
What do you think would be a good way of changing the battery? Do you think would make it better so they wouldn't, in other words, they wouldn't have to use it as much, or they'd have more power on the straight, or it would be a more reliable, straightforward system?
So right now, what they can do, what I heard from the race people, this guy called Gary Anderson, he's a really good tech guy. I listened to his podcast on the race, and I heard him firstly just say that the things they can do right now is just limit how much battery power you can deploy. I know then that would kind of skew the metric of being 50-50 because it actually would just make the engine power percentage higher. Even though you're losing power, you'll be slower. It'll be a lot more natural, the racing. So you would decrease the kilowatts of, which is brake horsepower, you can convert it. But they'll reduce the kilowatts to this 250 and then have the recharging available at 350 if you want to. But there'll be a lot less of the super clipping at the end of the straights because at the moment, I just didn't understand. I remember hearing this where you're only allowed to regen at 250 kilowatts for the first second of recharge, which is kind of ridiculous when you're really deploying at 350. So it's a lot of numbers going up. But I'm basically what I'm trying to say is just reduce the maximum power. So then it kind of just makes it harder to deplete the battery. So then it just makes things more predictable. It'll make the cars slower, but that's something they can do right now. Long term, increase the engine power by maybe another 70, 80 horsepower. So that gets like 600-ish brake horsepower. So then the rest can be filled in by the battery. It's a better split, in my opinion. And they can still have a lot of electric power, so that can help with the motto of the sport right now, but it will make it a lot more predictable right now.
Yeah. And what's quite interesting as well is that Kimi Antonelli is beating George Russell, and George is really having to kind of hang on to everything and isn't too happy. I mean, they've always said Antonelli is very, very good, but he's now leading the championship. And were you expecting that? Do you think he might be able to continue on in that in that position, or do you think George might come back at him?
Well, listen, I thought China was kind of a fluke situation. I didn't want to believe it because George had this issue in qualifying, third qualifying, where something happened to his car. He couldn't actually get out of the pits. Yeah. And Antonelli had 2 shots to improve his laps, which was great for him.
Yeah.
But once I saw in Japan at Suzuka, an actual driver's circuit, and we saw Antonelli that comfortable the entire weekend, he was comfortable.
Yeah.
His second time there only. Remember, second time there in an F1 car is nothing to scoff at because he's never raced there before. So it was kind of just he's feeling it all for the second time now, and he dominated George Russell. And George Russell's not someone you can just slouch off. I think he's definitely top 3 driver, top 4 driver on the grid. You can debate that if you want. But I think Antonelli's got the minerals. Let's just see. I don't want to jump the gun right now, but if we're gonna have a dominant Mercedes, at least have a 1v1 for the championship and not one driver winning it all. Because I was afraid when I saw in Australia just Russell dominating because that would have been disappointing. He was really strong. But Antonelli, he's doing well. The teenager's doing well.
Yeah, quite amazing. He's just 19. And he's out there and he's got to get a Formula 1 license at 19. It's pretty impressive. But to be winning races, leading a championship, and that car has been, definitely the right time to be at Mercedes, for sure. But and I mean, even like the space we've talked a little bit about Ferraris coming up. Obviously, McLaren have suddenly appeared there after failing to start in the last race in China. What do you think about Norris and Piastri? I mean, they've done some pretty. I mean, Piastri had a pretty competitive race there on Sunday.
I think right now, McLaren as an F1 team is still better than Mercedes, but Mercedes are the works team, so they know the ins and outs of their engines right now a bit more than McLaren. But what we saw right there is that McLaren, their trajectory is even better than Ferrari's right now because they do have the better engine. And unfortunately right now, that is the biggest crux. You need to have a good engine right now. Maybe if the Addio comes in, we'll find out. Maybe they'll change everything. But McLaren looking good too. If they actually get their cars to start the race, they'll get a podium on their first race. So just sort that out. They even had a good start, which was kind of surprising because I thought the Mercedes engines weren't good at starting. I think Mercedes itself just need to fix that because McLaren proved they can get off the line really well, like the Ferraris. Yeah. And I think right now Mercedes needs to just keep look behind them because McLaren are there. I think McLaren have a bit of a better chance than Ferrari, unless that engine upgrade thing comes to fruition for Ferrari, because that's impressive by them. Piastri and obviously Norris push each other to the limits. They are so evenly matched. So I actually would rate controversially, I know, I would rate the McLaren drivers over the Mercedes drivers just a little bit, a tiny bit, because I feel like there's a little bit more experience now. Obviously, Piastri kind of struggled last year at the end of last year, but I still think under the pressure right now, they've been in there and done that. They would have a little edge over Kimi and maybe Russell a little bit. Yeah.
No, that's the thing. We've got Tate watching all the way from America. It's good to see you, Tate. And all the others who are watching, welcome along. It's great to see you. And we're talking about F1 and the season so far with Levi, who's an F1 expert. And you can see that Ferrari top there. He's not biased, though. He's been very, very good with all the teams that we've been talking about tonight. But I think it's quite interesting to see the McLaren get up there. Because, as you say, Piastri suffered a bit at the end of last season. And Norris, I don't think Norris, a bit like Verstappen, he's not that keen on the current kind of regulations and the way the cars are, and they call it yo-yoing with the overtakes, wasn't it, with him in the battle with Hamilton? But I was quite surprised to see that McLaren just that little bit ahead. I thought, maybe Ferrari might have them, but the McLarens were pretty strong. There's really battles right the way through. And we talked very briefly earlier about Alpine and how Gasly wasn't too far away. I mean, he was right in there, wasn't he's not
doing
too
amazing.
Far away. Yeah, really showing his skills.
Don't forget Gasly 2021. The streets will never forget Gasly 2021 when he was in that AlphaTauri. He was getting ridiculous results. I remember he was the third best car at some races, or not even some races, many races in 2021 where he just popped his car up in the top 5, maybe even top 4. I remember sometimes, and he was absolutely killing it. I remember. So don't forget, I think Gasly's got insane peaks. I just think he's never got to show it off in the Alpine era since then. Let's just see. I think Gasly, if you give him the right situation, he could win a championship. But that's difficult in this moment right now, because I think he's had his chance at Red Bull, which unfortunately just didn't work out. But if Alpine can even maybe get their act together, they've got a great engine. They just need to sort their car out even more, and then they could be there. Which is encouraging, because I like Enstone, Team Enstone, whatever their name has been over the years. So let's see maybe, because I think Gasly needs a better teammate though, because Colapinto's letting me down. I really like him, but come on, he's had a lot of opportunities now. You saw some glimmers of hope last year. So he needs to wake up, or he'll be out there. Because Mr. Who owns Alpine, or who's that Italian again?
I forgot his name now. Who used to do Benetton?
Yes, Benetton. Yes, I forgot his name now. But
Albertoni. What's his?
Yes, I know.
Flavio
exactly.
Briatore.
Flavio Briatore. There we go. He's not patient. He's not patient. No. He got rid of Jack Doohan really quickly. I don't think he's too patient with Colapinto now. So get his act together, because they've got a lot of good drivers in the Alpine development program. I think it's Paul Aaron who's there now. So let's see. Let's see.
Yeah. So do you think there's going to be anyone else in the championship that might pull off a race win? I was actually thinking potentially
race wins. Yes, no, definitely. There's a few.
Yeah, I think Gasly could be up there as an outside bet, isn't it? You kind of wonder. Might not
maybe
be
have a crazy race where there's a lot of retirements. I think realistically, you can say a Ferrari, a McLaren, quite easily, because reliability. I think there will be some reliability issues for the Mercedes. I think everyone will have reliability issues this year.
Yeah.
But I think I'm trying to think now. Unless it's like a huge swing, I don't see a Red Bull winning right now. I see an Alpine winning a race more likely than Red Bull right now, because Red Bull. New engines, they're doing really well for a brand new engine or team who's developing an engine for the first time.
Yeah.
But it'll take time. So, there's a whole other story to that. I feel like that needs to be touched on later with regards to Red Bull. But I think McLaren and Ferrari definitely can win a race this year. Hopefully it can also be Hamilton. It'll be great to see him win a race. He did so well in China. So let's see what happens there. Leclerc, not a doubt. Norris and Piastri definitely just have to see if they can be the right place at the right time, because Piastri could have won that race on Sunday if there wasn't a safety car. He was doing an amazing job. So, it's not out of the realm of possibility.
Yes, and I have to say, from seeing Verstappen's performance in the first race, I really thought that Red Bull was much faster. I was quite surprised to see it so far away in China, and then there in Japan. And also Verstappen not very happy at driving it. I made quite big comments, didn't he? A big long speech about how it's going on.
Not happy.
But I'm sure they'll get there. And as you say, the Ford engine is doing pretty well compared to Honda, Aston Martin, which is really struggling. That's the thing. So let us know in the comments what you think of Formula One and how you think we could improve it. And also, let's talk a little bit about the design of the new cars. With no more big under trays, isn't it? No more kind of those big under kind of effects, isn't it? Of the
ground effects, yeah,
the ground effect cars. It's quite different. What do you think? I mean, they all said that Ferrari would be very quick on the starts, and they've proved that. They've got that kind of turbo thing in it. It just flies away as soon as the lights go out. We've had some quite interesting start lines as well, because the first race, the lights were barely on 5, and then it was off, wasn't it? They've had some quite interesting bits there.
Well, it kind of just, I think that was the first race kind of was a bit of a, I don't know, they really chose the worst time possible to do a very short 5 lights and away you go, because brand new cars already, I think that just played into Ferrari's hands because they caught everyone off guard.
Yeah.
But honestly, besides, okay, let's separate the engines. Like I said earlier, the dimensions of the cars look great. They do look kind of just aggressive and small, which makes them look a bit more aggressive and quick. But what else was I also liking about the cars? They just look aesthetically pleasing. I don't like the little winglets on the front wing, like those extra winglets. Those are unnecessary. I think they could have just kept it narrow and it'll be fine. But I think that's just to help with the dirty air and the outwash they're trying to limit. But overall, they look great. I can't really comment on anything else really right now, so it's still a bit early to be committed to anything else. No,
it's going to be interesting to see. They say they do look great. I think because they're a bit shorter, narrower. They've definitely got the proportions, because like last year they were just too big. They were just too long and too big.
They're birds.
Yeah, isn't it? And it felt a bit like that. I kind of wonder what they're going to do to the Formula One game, because I've got the one from last year, and it was quite fun to drive and quite nice to drive. This year, I'm not sure if I'm going to like all of those kind of battery deployment buttons and trying to see how that works. That's a whole other
story. I don't know how they're going to do that, because I don't think they're ready for how complex this was going to be, and they're developing all these new cars for a game that is, well, basically a year old. So are they going to go full out and try and replicate it correctly, or are they just going to do a bit of like a half-baked thing and then actually commit to it for the full game next year? Listen, I love the F1 games, but I think they got a lot on their plate right now when they found out how all the super clipping and then the lifting coast. I don't know how casuals are going to find that interesting. They have to do maybe something automatic for people, because I don't know how you're going to be able to do that unless you're a super nerd, which will also get probably a bit tiring even for me maybe. So
No, it is kind of interesting how that's all going to work. It's going to be a big job for them all. And Formula One, the games do get quite a lot of publicity, and they do get quite a lot of following initially, but then it kind of drops away quite early on. So they were, of course, this year as well. They're not launching as such a new game. I think it's just going to be an update, and then you'll pay money to get the update. So now that will be something. We've got German Kiwi that's here in there. Welcome along, Kiwi. It's good to see you. And I also believe, Levi, that you were in a race with Tidney. You were on his video.
I was for the first time in a while. It was some good fun. I had a day off for once on a Monday, so I definitely got to take advantage of that. I don't get take off many Mondays nowadays, but it was good fun. I'll definitely try and do it again if I have the chance. So, it was great.
I was going to say, we've got the stars of Tidney's channel here. It's which is great. That
and also, I just want to mention something. I was going to answer Viv's question. What wedge races could be very interesting? What would happen? Well, I remember they mentioned something. So you've got obviously on the track map, they've got for the dry conditions, they've got all the straight line modes. And then for straights that are a little bit more sketchy, but they're curving, they would have in the wet, they would have them either on partial straight line mode or disabled completely, which is basically, imagine the rear wing and the front wing only opening even just like halfway instead of the fully down mode. So there's there's still a little bit less drag, but there's still more downforce compared to just being completely on straight line mode, or the lowest straight line mode, if you know what I mean. They need to get a better name for this, because this is just weird, but you know what I mean. There's a little bit more downforce, so they can still
get around the
make
corner,
sure they're shedding some. They're going safely through maybe the slightly twisty bits. But overall, it's just kind of helping with the energy management, because imagine if you had no straight line mode in the wet, and it's just a straight, that would be kind of just, you're just burning more energy, and you actually maybe even run out of energy even more, because there's no wings being used to go down. I messed this up, but you know what I mean.
Yeah. No, absolutely. And in the wet weather, as Sideways just said, the battery deployment in the wet, that could be really quite something. All of a sudden, all that power.
Well, one thing, remember in the wet, so you actually have less grips, which is a great thing, because you actually increase your braking zones, which then you also increase the amount of time you're recharging the battery. So I think in the wet, the cars will be actually a less energy starved though, because you obviously, firstly, you're not on full throttle for as long as you're on the dry. So energy like starved cars will be a little less of an issue for this current generation, but we just have to see. When is it going to rain? Maybe it could rain in Miami, but I think it's more likely maybe in Canada, or when you get to the European races, because some of the races it usually doesn't rain out. So just have to find out.
Other than Belgium and that, sometimes you get a wet race in Canada. We've had a few in the past.
No, Canada definitely Canada.
Yeah, and that kind of thing. Sometimes Silverstone as well. It can be a bit wet there. You can get a bit of changeable conditions. But no, that's going to be something that. But so far, with all the performances that we've seen, who do you think might be the hot favourite for the championship? Is it who would you think might be?
I'm going for Antonelli, because that's a safe bet. Oh no, not actually that safe of a bet. Everyone thought Russell was going to be the safe bet, but after the couple of races I've seen, and I'm also got Italian heritage, I cannot not go for Antonelli. Ideally, I would go for Leclerc. But listen, maybe after, I don't know when they're actually going to bring in that Adua, which is the actually equalizer for the power units. This little system. Depending on when that actually gets implemented, because now we're missing 2 races from Saudi and Bahrain. We have to see, because if that engine upgrade helps Ferrari, maybe that could help them. They have a great car. They just need to sort out the engine. So I think Antonelli is a safe bet right now. I would love to have a Ferrari driver win, though. That's definitely something I want to see, because it's been too long. It's almost 20 years now. So.
Yeah, no, that's it, isn't it? Rue has joined us. Welcome along, Rue. It's good to see you. He's called it the RDS. What was it? The reduction of drag, reduced drag system, as he's called it there. That it is quite something, isn't it? I mean, it's it just needs to be, I think, more straightforward and easier to know when they can deploy their power and when they can get maximum grip, and to keep the racing good, and also to give them a chance of being consistent.
And also, I remember hearing someone mention this, Gary Anderson again, because this guy is just amazing at everything. He should have been the one controlling the regulations, because he mentioned as well, the F1, the FIA should actually have this kind of a predetermined mapping, relatively speaking, for the tracks. So they can reduce this likelihood of having that Colapinto and Behrman accident again. So people have to stay within a certain parameter of how much power you can actually use at parts of the track. So it can get a little bit sticky, because then you're taking away some of the huge ingenuity and the technical masterminds from that. But he kind of reasoned it, so you would actually, some people are basically wasting battery energy by deploying the full 350 kilowatts at certain points, when it could actually be like gradually brought in, rather than being, okay, it's now full 100% power right from like 150 kilometers per hour, where you can't actually take advantage of the power. So it's kind of like a curve where it goes up on the graph, and then at like around 200 kilometers per hour, you're going full power, but then it gradually goes down again. It's a lot. It's difficult to explain because it's a lot going on. But he kind of just explained it on this podcast the race did with him, and it just made so much sense when he spoke about it. So it's kind of just predetermined where you can actually deploy your energy to a certain extent. So it would reduce the unpredictable nature of it right now. But it's a lot of alternatives. It's a lot of alternatives to the same problem. We just have to see what the F1 decides to do because they've had 3 races now. So we have to find out of the summer break of the. Is this like a summer break or a winter break or kind of?
Isn't it? It's a kind of
It's in the middle of the season. It's kind of weird, but in this break they have right now, they need to really come up with something that can just add or just fix some of the cracks, plaster over some of the cracks they have right now because. We cannot be going to some of the tracks and seeing them downshift 2 times in the straight. That's unacceptable.
No, the engine's kind of dying. It doesn't help. Now we had a question there from SRC. He said, "And your thoughts on the Behrman Colapinto incident? Do you think there will be more serious accidents like that because of the massive speed differences? What do you think? I'm hoping, obviously, there won't be, but it's. I mean, they were caught out there, wasn't they? That's the thing.
Well, I think that incident's going to be a huge catalyst to actually making something change now in the regulations because I remember on Twitter I was like kind of just dissatisfied with what Colapinto did, but then I heard from both sides and I got to understand that what Colapinto did wasn't unreasonable. If this was even last year where he did a slight jink to the left just to defend the position, but because he did that while he was slowing down while Behrman was still accelerating, it made it look like it was worse than it really was. So it was more to blame was the actual regulations than the driving itself. But that's disgusting because imagine this was at a street circuit and that happened. That would be a lot more serious, a lot more dangerous. We don't want to lose any F1 drivers at all.
No.
Yeah, this is why that accident should be a huge factor in how they should change the way the energy works. That's the main reason. And you just make it so it's a little less unpredictable.
Yeah. No, that's the thing. There's so much to talk about, so much to unpack, and we've been going for over 40 minutes already. But it is fascinating as to how the season has been going, and hopefully it will because but the starts are good. It can fall away a little bit in the races as we've seen sometimes the Mercedes stretch their legs, but at least there on Sunday Piastri wasn't too far away, and as you say, could have got there if it wasn't for that. Kind of a safety car, he would have been right there, wouldn't it? And it's quite funny now. I mean, it's still the Ferraris get the wrong strategy. They're always struggling. Thankfully, it wasn't too bad on Sunday, but we've had 2 races where they really could have done much better if they had followed the right strategy. What do you think about that?
Well, I've been a Ferrari fan for so many years. I'm used to it. Okay, so Australia, I think irrespective of what happened in Australia, I think Ferrari was still would have lost the race. I remember seeing so many memes about it. It was kind of hilarious. For China, I'm trying to remember what happened in China, but if I recall, they were still ahead of Russell, and Russell managed to get past the Ferraris eventually. I think that race was just kind of also another situation where whatever Ferrari did, I think Mercedes would have found their way through, or eventually. I think the strategy in Suzuka actually was pretty good. They split the strategies. Hamilton stayed out. He got a benefit of the safety car. Leclerc went out early and protected himself against the undercut, and he stayed ahead of Norris. That's all he needed to do, and he did everything really well. And the fact that Leclerc actually had 5-lap all the hards, and he still managed to pass a few drivers with fresh hards was actually impressive. So I think Ferrari's strategy, the first round was terrible, but I think the second and third round weren't too bad.
They're getting there. And now Rua said what annoyed him was that the FIA was warned for ages, and it's not a great take by the FIA to wait until something actually happens before fixing it.
We'll see a change. We will see a change. I promise you, they like I mentioned earlier, they're going to do a minimum change, maybe just the electric battery deployment. So you're going to deploy less, like maximum power, so you don't burn the battery as much. So it's harder to run out of battery, unless they do something else. Ideal world, they increase the fuel flow limit of the engines by a couple, maybe 5-10%. So then increases the power of the engines a little bit. So you have more engine power and then less less electrical power. So it evens out. But then Audi are going to be upset, and then other manufacturers are going to be upset because we built our engines for a specific circumstance type of situation. But I think F1 needs to just put their foot down and say, okay, this is what we're going to do. We messed up. Let's just try and fix it as much as we can in the short period of time, because it's still 4 weeks. They can do something, but we'll have to find out.
Exactly. And hopefully F1 will stop censoring the fans' comments when they don't get the feedback they like, which is quite funny, isn't it? I mean, you kind of feel they're so desperate to try and win over these new fans, but actually you win over fans by good racing, real racing, and the proper sport. I think that's what they really need. When they act too desperately, I think it'll just come back on themselves. But we'll see how it all develops and see how it goes. That I was going to say, it's been an amazing night so far. I'm wondering, Levi, if you'd be happy to come back again and do another to continue
definitely.
on, because we'd love to have you back and get more of what's been happening with all these with the Formula One season as it goes. Now we've got Rue saying the MGHU again and let Audi cry, split the turbo into generator and electric.
Can't do that.
And supercharge it to make it cheaper for Audi to develop. Well,
listen, that's not great. I think the MGH needs to go. That thing was just basically the worst thing I could think of, because I know it was really great for technology-wise. It was great, but ruined the car's engine sound. It was overly complex. I just think keep that. Listen, it was great that it happened. We had that. Now move on. They don't need to do that. I promise you, they don't need that. They just need to increase the engine power. That's something that can be just done by increasing the fuel flow, which means more fuel means more power, which is great.
And that's what they need to do.
Will just add more complexity and more weight to these engines and these cars, which you don't want. You don't want the cars to gain more weight. We want to make the cars lighter, not heavier. So, that's why they got rid of it as well. I think that was also kind of the thing,
Yeah. No, it's quite a thing, isn't it? Now, this will be going out as a podcast as well. So if you're on Podbean, you can get it on Podbean. I will put that out hopefully tomorrow. It'll be ready on Podbean. And we'll be back again, if not this Thursday, but in probably a week on Thursday. Or we can do other nights as well. For Levi, as to whatever is suitable for you, because we'd love to have you back to discuss more in detail. It's kind of, I don't know what we're going to do. We've got 4-week break, then no races.
It's
kind of crazy. It's a long time. No one was expecting this, but hopefully it's a bit that they could have some kind of intermittent kind of test season, some kind of test day or test weekend, so that people could kind of watch that. And actually, that was the other wee thing we talked about earlier before the show started. This private testing. That was crazy.
Yes.
At Barcelona, they could have opened it up. Thousands of people want to come to the test because it's a really great chance to see the cars. What was your take on that?
Well, we actually just knew why they did this was because they were just nervous the cars would be incredibly unreliable, which F1 should have a little bit more faith in the F1 teams nowadays, because they had a bit of a PTSD from 2014 where the first couple of days you'd have cars only do like a handful of laps. And that's great. I understand where they're coming from, but this is 2026. It's a whole decade past and a little bit more of engine development and engine understanding, and these teams are smashing it. Obviously, Aston Martin are the exception with Honda, but everyone else is absolutely just killing it, which is amazing. Well done to them. And I think F1 dropped the ball. They definitely dropped the ball on that.
Yeah. Because the times aren't that far away. I mean, I know Aston Martin is about 2.7 seconds away, but they will come into it. They will definitely get stronger very quickly. I mean, at the end, when they had Honda and Red Bull, I mean, look how dominant they were with them. They were doing incredibly well. But it was something that I think we've got all of the TNR guys. We've got TNR Sean. We've got TNS Res Racing. We've got TNR Sir Mags. It's great to see you all. I hope you are well, and it's fantastic. You're big supporters of Levi here. We had Natcap as well on earlier. Who was in the comments there. So no, it's great to see you all. I think if you're up for coming back again, Levi, maybe next week we can go into more of the details if you like.
I'll love to do that. I just need to check my schedule because I'm going on a holiday for Easter, which is really great. And then I've got some racing commitments next week as well, because I'm just juggling a whole schedule here, but we can definitely make it work.
Yeah, we can definitely do it. You just let us know and we'll have you back in because it's been very, very informative and a great night of F1 discussion. But we'll leave it there for tonight. But you've been watching the Hugh Hat-Trick Show, and in the description is Levi's YouTube channel. And a big thank you to Levi for coming on with all that technology.
Pleasure.
all that thing, all the things that you know there with every detail, all the hundreds of a seconds between the drivers. It's been fantastic to have you on. And so you're welcome anytime. And make sure you subscribe to his channel, everybody. I'm sure you'd enjoy that. And you're a fantastic racer. Been on Tisney's videos along with Kiwi, and hopefully we'll see you on many more of them as well. And he enjoyed racing with you. Tisney was definitely enjoying all the racing. But thank you very much for watching, everybody. And as the saying goes, drive fast, don't crash. We'll see you very soon. Bye just now.